All right. Hi, this is Phil from the ATM Mastermind group and the ATM Mastermind YouTube channel. We're here today. We go live every Monday night at 6 Central Standard Time, or not every Monday night, but every other Monday night. So this is the week we're going to go live. We won't go live next week, but then the following week we will be going live. And good thing, because next week is 4th of July and I want to go to a parade and fireworks festival at night. So won't be here, but thank you guys very much for joining us tonight. Our questions and our talk tonight is going to be about ATM maintenance, what to expect, pretty much what to expect when expecting in the ATM business. So we're just going to start the conversation pretty much. I see we have Jeremiah's on. Nice to see you. I'm just going to go over a couple things and then we'll have time for questions. But thank you for joining. I was going to give me about 10 minutes to talk about what we're talking about. All right. So when you get your ATM, one of the challenges you're going to have is you could have communication issues with your ATM. So your ATM, now some of you guys are going to have a wireless device, which is a cellular modem that sits in your ATM, and your ATM is going to communicate. That's how it's going to communicate to Visa, MasterCard, and all the other banks. And then some of you guys will use an internet connection, and it'll be routed from your ATM to the sorry, I got distracted by people jumping on and asking questions, but it'll be routed from the ATM to the switching router when we'll go through the banks. So some of the issues you could have is their internet in the store goes down. Hi, Marcus. Nice to see you. And then your ATM won't function. You'll get a communication error, or the store will call you and say, hey, ATM's not working. You'll go out to the location and realize that the ATM's not working because their internet is down. Now, some of you guys, what you'll do is you'll say, you know what, I'm not going to bother with the store's internet. That happened to us in a lot of locations. And we just went for a wireless device, therefore minimizing our service calls. Because in the world of the internet, we found out the store owners, they'll change their internet provider pretty much every 2 years, looking for a better solution or a cheaper solution. And when they do that, your internet goes down. So when your internet goes down, now you got a problem. You got a service call. You go out there. You realize it's their internet. They're saying, well, can you get me back up and running? The answer is no, because your internet's down. Now, sometimes when they switch internet providers, they disconnect your ATM. When they disconnect your ATM, your internet, the ATM doesn't work. And now you're out of luck. Excuse me. Out of luck with the with your ATM. Therefore, what we did is we went into wireless devices, and that way we can control the signal at all times. And when the signal is controlled, then we go with the ATM, and it works every time. Now, that's why we decided a long time ago to use, excuse me, we went to use the wireless devices. Now, that's one issue that you're going to have a problem with. The second issue that you guys could have a problem with is paper jams. You have a receipt paper, the paper's on a big roll. People sometimes, it usually pushes it out, but then sometimes what happens is it pushes it out enough, they grab it, and then it jams, and now your receipt paper has a jam, and the ATM in this case, 90% of the time will still function, because it asks you, do you want a receipt? You could always say no and still get your balance, still do an ATM transaction. And if the receipt paper is jammed, it still does the functionality. But that does cause an issue, because sometimes the store owner says, hey, the ATM paper is jammed up, and now you got to go out to unjam it. It's another issue. It's service maintenance. So what you do is every time you fill the ATM, look at the paper, check the paper. I always carry a spare roll, usually in the bottom of the machine, or one on us, just in case you don't have a spare roll, or if the paper's running low, if it's just towards the end of the spool, I always change it, and I put that little spare roll in the bottom of the ATM or in the top, just so if the paper runs out, at least I got something to get through a couple more days. And then this will eliminate the store owner calling us. But um, that's the surefire way to keep that rock and rolling, is to have that paper either in the bottom machine or always carry a spool of paper. All right. Then one of the other things you're going to have is you will have bill jams. Now, a lot of people, what they do is they look at their bills when they get them from the bank just to make sure that they're as crisp as they can be. Any of the soft bills, or they look if they're almost torn or ripped, they replace those. And also, I always look at, they have like little, I don't know, like dog ears, or they're folded sometimes. I always try to undo those where I see, and I kind of look through the bills. If they're brand new bills, what we do is we mix them up, we mix the bills up, because a lot of the bills will stick together. The other thing we do to minimize our bill jams is we go head to head or tail to tail. So every $1,000, we'll go head to head, tail to tail. This will solve a lot of the issues from bill jams. So that's something, a little trade secret. You guys want to know how to solve those, try that. Especially right now, we got a lot of cruddy bills. I don't know, the quality of bills, and I hear it about all the time from different ATM operators. Hey, what's going on? The bills are getting worse and worse and worse. And I agree. I don't think that the federal government is printing as much money as far as new bills as they used to, and they're keeping those bills longer in circulation. They used to take out a bunch of bills every year. I don't know if they're taking them out. They're probably printing the same amount of money, but they're leaving the bills circulated. And so I think with that, they're not pulling the bills out. So the quality of bill is not as good as it used to be. It used to be a lot better. So that is some of the maintenance. We got more maintenance things that go on, but I want to answer some questions. Okay, so Jeremiah, you have a question. What's your question? How much to start a mobile ATM event business? So it depends on the event and how long you're going to do the event, because you need the cash in the cash for the mobile event. So basically, you're talking about, let's say an ATM all in is about $3,000 now. It used to be 2,500, but right now with a wireless device and ATMs are going up, and then you got tax on top of that, you're probably looking at about $3,000 for an ATM. Maybe it's cheap, depending on if they run a show special or something to that nature. But figure on it's kind of be probably closer to $3,000 for an ATM. Then you got are you gonna buy a flag that says ATM on it? Do you have a stand? So if you want to buy a flag and a stand, that's going to cost you $300 for a flag. Then you're going to need the money for the ATM. How many people are going to come to the event, and how long is the event? How many days is the event? So you got to figure out how much money you're going to need. I got to figure it's going to be somewhere. You're going to need at least $10,000 in the ATM to really do any kind of sizable event. And you got to figure on about every 5,000 people, they're going to do 100 transactions, and every 100 transactions, you're going to go through you need about $8,000. So right now in a mobile event, people are taking out anywhere from $80 to $100. So an average of $100, let's say you do 100 transactions, $100 is $10,000. So those are the kind of numbers you're going to need to back your ATM up. How many for us? If they're not doing at least 5,000 people there, I'm not going to the event. It doesn't make sense. It's not enough of money with all we got invested. But so when they say to you, hey, I got a mobile event, well, how many people are you going to have? You got to know that going in. All right. Let's see. I had some issues before. That's why I never connect to the business internet. Okay. So Mr. Norman says he had some issues. He never connects to the business internet. And we've had issues too. Really kind of where I went sideways on the whole issue was we got we got a couple calls on Thursday. What it seems like internet providers only want to change their internet on Friday night. It's like the best time in the world that they want to change it. And so they change it Friday afternoon. So you get a call Friday night and they say, hey, our internet doesn't, or our ATM doesn't work. You go out there, you can't figure out why is it not connecting? Why is it not connecting? You ask them questions. Did you change your internet providers? Oh no, we didn't do anything. We never changed anything. And then after a series of looking at their switch, their router, you figure out, hey, you know what? I thought you had let's give an example. I thought you had AT&T and Comcast. Oh yeah. Comcast came in and they changed they put the box in. I said, well, I thought I just asked you if you changed internet providers. Oh yeah, I guess we did. We changed the internet providers from Comcast AT&T. Well, my ATM's not hooked up. They didn't hook it up. Oh, well, I don't know. You'll have to figure that out. Now you got to figure out where the wire is. Sometimes they come in, they don't know what it is. They just snap it or they just snip it. What happened is, I know AT&T said, well, we don't need this, and that's it. They snipped the wire to ATM. Then we had to put an end on it, and then there's no more plugs in the box they used because they only had 2 outs, and so they hooked up their security cameras. They hooked up their credit card, and then that's it. We didn't have any more ports, and then we had to go buy a switch, or we had to buy a switch to make sure that the ATM was going to work. So I just eliminated that whole thing. It was a headache, but I don't want to do any headache, especially on Friday and Saturday night. All right. So let's see. Can mobile ATM business be an all year round business? Yes. So well, and he says I live in Detroit, Michigan. So the mobile ATM business, at least here, I don't know about Detroit. I'm saying it's similar to Chicago. Most of the events here in Chicago are from Memorial Day to Halloween. Now there are some other events, but I have to be connected with some of the I don't know, we call it the McCormick Place is here in Chicago, but something to that nature where it's an event place. I don't do business with the McCormick Place, but that's what you would have to do, is be with an event center, and then every week it would be more of a permanent placement ATM, but they're only good on the weekends. So that's what maybe you're talking about. But most of the mobile event is for only the summer, because you're talking about different cities have their fairs, festivals, little farmers markets, pumpkin patches, things like that they'll do every week or throughout the season. But usually in the wintertime, like we have a farmers market that they asked us, hey, you want to bring an ATM every weekend? And I said, well, how long is the farmers market? Well, it's 4 hours. Well, it doesn't make sense for me to put an ATM there at 9:30 on a Saturday and come back and pick it up at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. It didn't make sense. They were all cash event. They had farmers market. They had it every weekend in the summer. And then when they got to the winter, they moved it inside, and they only did once a month. And they did it every other week in November and in December. And then January, February, March, they did once a month. And then in April, they went back to every 2 weeks. And then they went back to every week in the summertime. So we convinced them, like, hey, let's put an ATM inside. You guys have washrooms there. They got to come into this building to use the washroom. Let's put it there. It's secure at night. And so it's really a mobile event, but it's year round. So we have one of those. We have actually 2 of those. We have a fairgrounds, and in the wintertime, they move there. They have gun shows, they have toy shows, they have bridal shows, they have cotillions. And we put an ATM into the county fairgrounds. And if you want to consider it a mobile event, but we don't move the ATM. We just put it in there in the fall, and it stays in there until the springtime. Then we move it out. And same thing, we have a pumpkin patch. We put it in the ATM. We put it there at Labor Day. It stays to a week after a week after Halloween. They have a Christmas tree farm. We move it over to Christmas tree farm for 3 weeks, and then we pull it out. So if you find those, Jeremiah, if you find those events, then it becomes more of a seasonal mobile business. But that's how you could do those to make it more year round. But you have to find the right avenues. We have over by our place, we have a ski jump that I talked to the people a few times about putting it out. And I thought about it, but you know what? It was, I don't know. I did one event in January for some ice sculptures, and the event was so cold. I'm like, you know what? And it was 20 below with windshield factor, was blowing. It was by the lake, and it was great for the event, but I was cold, and I'm like, I don't know. I wasn't interested in doing any outside events for those type of environments. But it can be done, and I've seen people do it. I like to have an outdoor enclosure for events. Okay, I don't know if you're asking or you're. So we do have outdoor. We do have outdoor enclosures for the mobile events. What we do is I highly suggest what you guys do is either buy an enclosure, or you can buy a tent to put. You can get a tent at any of the sporting goods stores. So maybe start out with the tent and put your ATM underneath that, make some money, and then buy the enclosure next year. Usually enclosure is going to cost you, we call them a kiosk. It's usually going to cost you around $2,000 with the kiosk and the shipping. You get killed on the shipping, but then the thing's you can use it forever. So we do that. I used to just put ATMs out in the field and chain them down. Now we have the enclosures, and we change the ATM to the enclosure, and the enclosure to a telephone pole or a utility pole, or sometimes they got generators. Most of the time they have generators. We chain it to the generator because the generator ain't gonna go nowhere, and neither is our ATM. So that's usually what we do for the mobiles. All right, so now we go back to the maintenance. Some of the other issues you will have is that, let's say dispenser. Let's say you clean out the dispenser, your ATM is not working. You're figuring out why it doesn't work. You can put it into a test, and it'll show all the sensors on your ATM. They'll be green if they work. If they don't, they'll be red. Now you'll see. Okay, I see one of my sensors is black. So what you do is you get a Q-tip. You can clean the sensor with a Q-tip. If that still doesn't work and still red, then you have to replace the sensor. But there's maybe about 8 to 12 sensors, depending on the ATM, and you can isolate that in the test and see, hey, is it bad? If you can't fix the sensor, and then you can't replace the sensor or clean the sensor and replace it, then what you'll have to do is you can pull the dispenser and replace it. Now, like here at PDQ, we can fix your dispenser. You can always send it to us, and then we can get it fixed, rebuild it. We'll send it back to you, replace any and all sensors if they're bad, and replace the belts and make sure the timing is right, and then we'll send it back to you all repaired. And just to let you know, make sure you this is a funny story, but make sure you take out your bills in the reject bin, because from time to time we find extra money in there. We always send it back to the customer, but we do find it from time to time. We always say, hey, I think this is a tip that you guys sent us. They said, I didn't even know it was in there, and and we sent it back to them. Now, here's the funny thing, is I told that same story to somebody who brought in a dispenser to our office, and then they laughed. They said, how can anybody be so silly? I said, I don't know, but it does happen. People get in a rush. And I opened the dispenser, and I opened the reject thing, and there was $40. And they said, I can't believe it. I could have swore I checked. I said, well, here's your money back. And said, well, thank you. So I told the story, and it was true right then and there. So that was the funny part. All right, so we got some more questions. Let's see what we got. Let's see, do you have specific service hours when you service your ATM issues? If you're asking, it looks like Jay Stiffs, if you're asking, do we here at our office, or if you're asking what do we say is maintenance hours? So for me, when I start out in the ATM business, or I would recommend you guys let your customer know, hey, we do service from this time to this time. So that way they're not surprised. Some companies say, look, we're only running service to 9 p.m., 10 p.m. Okay. It depends on what type of business you have. You have a barbershop and they close at 8 o'clock. And you know what? You tell them, hey, I'm not going to get out. It's 7 o'clock right now. I'm not going to get out there tonight, but I'll be there in the morning. That'll work. But you got to let them know, hey, I only run service to 8 o'clock at night. I only run service to 10 o'clock at night. We run service to midnight. For us, we usually, depends on who it is, but we usually run service to basically midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning on a lot of the customers. So we have some customers that they open at 3 o'clock in the morning. We'll run out there at 1 o'clock in the morning to do service because they might be an all cash bar. They run to 3 in the morning, and so they need that ATM up and running. Other places they call and it's 8 o'clock. It's a grocery store. It closes at 8. We're not coming out there tonight. We'll come out there tomorrow. So it's on specific uh, on the environment and who the location is and what. But in general, we run service pretty much to midnight every night. For us, for some other customers, agents like you guys, they run it to 10, they run it to 8. It just depends. But always let them know, hey, we run service to 10, so you can call us, let us know. Most of the time, you can fix it on the phone, what's going on. Sometimes you can't. Sometimes it is bill jam. Sometimes you do have to go out there. Sometimes you just ask them if they can shut it off and put it on. That sometimes clears the error or resets it. If it's a router issue, if it's a dispenser error, something like that usually clears up, but sometimes it doesn't. You got to go out there. All right. Melted rollers in dispensers. Yep, melted rollers are in dispensers. We have to replace. The melted rollers. We see that from time to time that the rollers melted. The funny thing that what I see with this is, if you keep track of your rejects, you will start to see the rejects being increased. So we keep track of how many rejects on this ATM. So we go, let's say we go to put money in it every week. We notice there's 3-4 rejects. Go over again, there's 3-4 rejects. So to me, that's an issue. We don't get those kind of rejects. I get basically 0. So anything over 1 is, I start to look at it. How many rejects did I get? So I notice this ATM is having some more issues. So what do? I have spare dispensers. We put the spare dispenser in, we take it back and rebuild the dispenser. So we solve a lot of those issues when I see that. So if you keep track of your rejects, you'll start to see there's an error, there's an issue with this dispenser, and then solve that. So now it's not that the dispenser's down, be proactive. We know that this is an issue and solve it. Be proactive selling. The last thing you want to do is get a dispenser goes down on a Saturday night and you're SOL and you have no spare. And now your ATM's down all Saturday night, all Sunday, all Monday. You can't get it fixed a Tuesday. That's usually the best you're going to do. So hopefully, you get a spare dispenser and keep that on the side. And that way you can make sure that you don't have those issues. All right. Do you use QuickBooks? Absolutely. We use QuickBooks. So we use QuickBooks for our business is a way I don't know any other way. I've been using QuickBooks for 20 years. So yes, we use QuickBooks for all the ATMs, all the 1099s that we send out to our customers, for all our accounting for our business. And then we give that to the accountant at the end of the year so they can do our taxes. All right. It says, do you use QuickBooks for finances? So I think yes. So yes, because I look at the P&L and the balance sheet and make sure that everything is done the right way and up to speed. And that's the way I look at to make sure, are we making money? Are we losing money? Where are we spending our money? What's our expenses? What's up? What's down? How can we save money? Where can we grow more business? And we analyze the numbers. Now I look at the reports from our ATMs to see, hey, what's making money also. And we do isolate that, break that down, or import that into QuickBooks. But I also look at the reports, how much money does each ATM go through on a monthly basis, because we're constantly rotating our ATMs. What does that mean? We're looking at, do I have any issues with service? Because I'm looking at dispensers. I want to make sure dispensers are all up and running. ATMs down, I don't make any money. Then I'm looking at how many transactions are we doing? Do we have what I call a weed list? Okay, this ATM is starting to make the weed list. We got to get rid of this ATM, which means that we're just going to pull it off the location and put it into another location. So we find another location. I look at the list. I don't like this location anymore. Not making any money. We're cutting them almost like a baseball team. This player doesn't perform. They're out. You know what? And we put them into, and now I got a new rookie location coming on board. That location's out. So let's see. How is the chart account set up? I don't know. How's the chart of accounts set up? I got probably 25 35 categories. But basically what I got it set up is, I think what you're asking is, we have surcharge. I have surcharge. I make interchange. We're an ISO, so we have surcharge. We have interchange. We have other income streams come in from the ATM. And then we have we have our commissions. So we have the vault cash is not an expense. Vault cash is an asset, and then we have our vehicles as assets. So I don't know. We got a bunch of accounts, but pretty much I had the checking accounts as all assets. I had the vault cash as an asset. We have equipment. So equipment is on the balance sheet, and that's a depreciation asset along with the vehicles. Those are depreciation assets. The cash is not a depreciation asset, but it's an asset. And then our expenses are telephone, insurance, gas, parts. Those are wireless. Those are all expenses. So I hope that's helped. I got a ton of them, but those are some of the basics that we do. So now we got our dispensers. The other thing we got is right now is the buttons. So we got this will go after a long time in the ATM business, but the buttons on the ATM, if you're not running a touchscreen ATM, you're going to have buttons. Those buttons, some of them they go a little bit more often than others, especially the ones that say you need to hit what kind of cash on the screen, on top screen, there's buttons. Those buttons go from time to time, they get wore. And then the keypad will last you usually between 5 and 7 years. If you bought a used ATM and it's at the 5-year mark, more than likely the keypad is going to start to go bad. You're going to get an error message. And basically what the error message is the reason you're getting it is the battery is dissipating and it's not performing to where it is. Usually the batteries last between 5 and 7 years. When the battery goes bad, then the keypad won't function. Then you got to take that keypad. You can send it to us, PDQ. We can do an exchange for another keypad. Then we fix it, and then we'll put it back on the shelf. But we'll give you what we call like an even exchange for that keypad. You send us your keypad, we'll send you one back to you. We charge 100. Well, it depends. If it's a B1, 2, or 6,000, we're doing those for 175. If it's a B3, 5, or a B, I think we're still doing, once I gotta check, but maybe 250. And then the X1s and the 8,000Rs, those are 250. So we fix those for that amount. And we have a keypad kit if you guys need a keypad kit to replace the 6,000s or the B1s and B2s. I take that back. Not the B. I don't have a kit for B1 and B2, but I do have a kit for 6,000s and on a show song that we're selling those for $345. So includes the bracket and the harness and the keypad. So a refurbished keypad for 8,000R. All right. So now you got the keypad, you got the buttons, you got the dispenser, you got the communication, you got the bill. And then what I would do from time to time is I would also go into my error report. I would clear that error every once in a while so you can see what errors are coming up. Where are my issues? So you kind of see is there something that's coming up? Same thing like looking at reject. I would clear a reject every time you go to the location, clear the rejects and see, okay, I was here a week ago, I was here 10 days ago, I was here a month ago. How many rejects did I get? Now you print that, put that with your day total in cassette total. So now you know, okay, I was here 2 rejects, 3 rejects, 8 rejects, 10 rejects. I'm having a problem. What should I do? You should definitely replace this. But if you each ATM has a reject report, and all you need to do is print that out every time, clear it out, and you'll be good. And now you can start to look at those issues and figure out what the issues are. Same thing with, they also have an error report that'll have the communication error. You could see we're having an issue. So what's that issue? Maybe you're getting a lot of communication errors. Maybe it's like, maybe you're running AT&T and you need to run Verizon. So sometimes you might need a better signal. So those are some of the issues that you could have, and maybe that translates to you're having communication errors, you're having reject errors. All that might translate to less transactions. You get less transactions, and then you make less money. So, all right. Well, I got all the questions answered today. I would appreciate you guys for joining. Thank you very much. Again, we're going to be here not next week, but the following week. We go every other week from 6 to 6:30 Central Standard Time. And now we're going to go over to our ATM student page. And the people who are bought our course, they have a special right after this call. We do a special Q&A for them. So I just want to, if you guys are interested in our ATM Mastermind group page, or if you are interested in a course, we have a course that'll help you and teach you from A to Z how to be a dominant player in the ATM business. So I want to thank you guys. If you guys want to purchase a course, there should be a link below in the video. When we redo the video, not the live version, but when we re-edit the video, and we'll go from there. And I appreciate you guys for subscribing to the YouTube channel, and thank you guys for everything. If this was helpful, if you guys can put some 1 in the chats, that would be great. And I appreciate you guys for jumping on. Thank you very much.